Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. Spencer, Steve, JC with you this morning. I guess we got a lot to talk about. That's what I hear. I hear we have a lot to talk about. We'll talk about overnight markets, weekend markets, crypto. We haven't had for a while. We have one this morning. A somewhat interesting M&A deal. It's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's interesting. Rocket Companies bought Redfin this morning, so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, we got JC, we got Steve, we got you, we got me, we got the charts, we got Todd Sohn on the show today to talk ETFs. We have Sam Gatlin stop by in I don't know, an hour or so to talk earnings and beat report and all that good stuff. We'll have Kenny pop in for a few. So it's gonna be a good show. Excuse me. Gonna be a good show. Drop us a like, please, and thank you. And yeah, I guess let's go, right?
Good morning,
everybody. We are back. Mr. Steve Strazza, good morning. Spencer Israel, good to have you back.
I did not get the teal memo. What the hell?
Oh, look at us. Nice.
Oh, I figured, a little spring. I think this is like one of the shark things. I don't know, maybe Tommy Bahama. I don't know. Strazza, I feel like would know better than me.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Actually,
Strazza, do you get excited when I have Tommy Bahama?
I'm not like a big Tommy Bahama guy. I have some items. I have a couple
Don't
items.
Don't you have to like wear that stuff in Key West? Isn't it like a law?
No, I mean, some people do. You can. You definitely can wear a Tommy Bahama. A lot of Tommy Bahama down here. But listen, JC's getting into fashion now because he likes retail stocks. So he's like really interested. Right? Is that what's going on?
So Jeff Mackey's like, oh, JC, on now they're getting into like the retail, like clothing, right? Apparel is what it's called. I don't know, like clothing, not just shoes. So I told Morgan, I was like, hey, Mackey wants us to do some shopping, and like do some boots on the ground work, right? So I go to Morgan. I was like, oh, I'm gonna order like some sweatpants and like some sweatshirts and stuff like that. What do you want? She's like, I don't like any of those things. They're so ugly and they're so expensive. I could get them at Marshall's for like a fraction of that.
Yep.
That was like her immediate reaction before she looked at the clothes. Then she looked at the clothes and it confirmed her theory that they're too expensive and they're not cute.
So she's all about she's a value investor. She's a value shopper.
There's nothing
wrong with that.
If you're gonna pay up and buy anything from these premium brands, it's got to be really good. So one thing that you see over and over and over and over again is a little, niche retail brand breakthrough with one item or one line. G4 with the golf shoes, Bird Dogs with the pants with the liners. What most of them don't do is then turn that into a broader brand where they're selling multiple lines. Lululemon.
Well, I think that's Mackey's bullish case that's what they're doing. My wife's taking the other side of that trade. Hard, very aggressively so. So I guess we'll see. I'll let you know. I was like, oh, Mackey says it's like the next Lulu. She's like, well, I don't like Lulu either.
So Lulu did that, right? They did that first with the pants, the women's pants, then the men's pants, and now people buy everything from Lulu. But not every retailer can pull that off. It's not easy.
Yeah. All right. Just little boots on the ground. So I ordered the sweatpants. I'm pretty sure I ordered it. Now that I think about it, I probably should double check that I actually placed the order. But I did. So I'll let you know when they get here.
See, like, what can I possibly buy from this company that I would use? Like, this is all gym people stuff, right?
You don't play tennis. You don't even play tennis.
No.
Yeah, tennis is great. All right, let's do state of the markets. What do you say? Is the market moving? Do we have things happening? I think so.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dow futures this morning down 500 points. I'll never forget the first time I ever saw the Dow go down 500 points. It was in early 2007, and it was crazy at the time. 500 points these days is 1%. The S&P 500 futures down 1.4%, down 80 handles to the downside, just under 5,700. NASDAQ 100 down, leading the way to the downside, 1.7% to the downside. That's 350 points down for the NASDAQ 100 futures, back under 19,900, believe it or not. 30-year bond futures absolutely ripping. I want to talk about the negative correlation today between bonds and stocks. It hasn't exactly been the case. This is a big one. Bond futures up a full percent today, pushing 118 on the 30-year. Crude oil up 0.75%, 67.5. Copper down 1/3%, 470. That's another big one. Gold flat today, just above 2,900. Silver up 50 bips, just under 33, with the VIX 26.5 for the VIX over in funny money land. Bitcoin up over 2,000 points this morning, 83,000, just under 83,000 for Bitcoin. Ethereum also big reversals overnight. Ethereum up almost 5% this morning, 21.20 over in Solana. Solana also up 2% this morning, just under 129, with the total crypto market cap. Mr. Spencer Israel, 2.68 trillion, 269. How do we feel about this morning's futures? What stands out?
They continue to not look good. U.S. equity is under pressure. I think this is more a story of growth weakness than value, but it's hitting both groups now. Last week, I think one of the bigger negatives was just about everything else finally catching down. I don't really care too much about the defensive groups, but financials were holding up really well, right? Financials were one group in the U.S. where you could point to it and you could say, that's offensive. That can only be bullish. Then look in the way that they do. We lost financials in a little bit, in a way, last week on a tactical basis. And I think you're going to see that with more and more groups this week. They're slowly hitting all the leaders.
What do you make about the relationship, if you want to throw up slide 2, what do you make about the relationship happening here between stocks and bonds? Have not seen something like this in quite some time. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. When was the last time we had 30-year bond futures up a full percent with the S&P 500 down a full percent? When was the last time that happened? Can someone run that? Fonz, if you're out there, can you run that for me?
30 years up 10% today. What?
1%. 30-year up 1% and S&P 500 down 1%. When was the last time that happened? Because we haven't seen this kind of flight to safety in the bond market really at all. You know, back in 22, when stocks were selling off early in the year, bonds were selling off even more, right? So I'm curious. Honestly, I mean, maybe I missed it and something happened in at some point in Q1 and I missed it, but I'm pretty sure that something like this, you probably got to go back to COVID.
It just seems that risk assets are moving with dollars. And not just oil, but you're seeing it with stocks over the past few weeks.
Yeah. All right, let's go over a few of the dollar just getting absolutely destroyed. Let's start there because that's a huge thing. So throw up slide 6 there.
I think it's got to bounce.
So we're talking about quadrillions here, like in terms of the market capitalization of the Forex markets, quadrillions. I do math for a living and do this all day, every day for 20-something years. And I don't know how many zeros and commas are in a quadrillion. That's how many zeros and commas there are, right? You, Mr. CPA, how many commas, how many zeros do you know off the top of your head without looking? Like 3 or 4, maybe like a dozen or so zeros-ish, maybe more.
So what's this mean? We waited for this to break and head lower, and we said this would be great for risk assets. Stocks should do so well. So now that's happening. The dollar broke and is trending lower in a big way with momentum. And guess what's not happening? Risk assets, at least the biggest, most popular classes of risk assets, are not on board with this move.
And what do you think about my theory that I've been talking about over the last week or so, that the rate of acceleration of the dollar has been so ferocious, so aggressive, that it has unwound that international trade, and money is flowing so aggressively into things like Hong Kong and Germany? If you want to throw up slide 4 so you can see what's happening there. Money is flowing so aggressively into those other areas because the dollar's getting slammed, that it's causing U.S. stocks, particularly the biggest, most liquid ones, to be a source of funds. How do you feel about that? Do you think there's anything there? Or do you think that's just made
I've already told you, JC.
because I was up late too?
Oh, JC, I'm making a lot of moves. I think it's time for investors to protect their portfolio. So I don't have time to think about things that
When is
really
it
don't
not?
matter.
Out of curiosity,
Oh.
when is it not a time to protect your portfolio?
No, there are times where it's a lot more important. There are other times where you could like throw a dart and stay long and go on vacation and not pay attention too much, and it's just fine. I don't think we're in that time anymore. So there are times where I have to be much higher alert than other
All right,
times.
that's
So
fair. And so let's just say
hold on, let me answer
hypothetically,
your
maybe
question.
this was one of those times.
Here's
What are the
you're
things that are working? Bonds and gold.
you're hold on. You're posing like this theoretical. Whether that's true or false, it won't change what I do, right? It won't change. It doesn't mean anything for my money, whether that's why, right? So I don't know why you keep talking about it, to be completely honest. Like, who
In
cares?
the same way that you have a man crush on Brian Armstrong, that's not going to change of what I'm going to do with my money. You're stating a fact that somebody is like the best CEO ever and he's doing all the right things and things like that. Same thing with the Uber CEO that you have a man crush on. Speaking of Uber, can you throw up that Uber chart?
I'm watching.
Where is it?
I've been watching that show actually lately. It's so bad, but it's
What
interesting.
show? Slide 7. What
Oh, they
show?
made a show about Travis Kalanick and the Uber story, short series, and like everybody's in it. Mark Cuban's in it. Bill Gurley's
Really?
like a really big role. Yeah, it's interesting. There's some really excellent actors and
Why are
actresses
you
in
saying
it
it's
as
not
well.
that good?
It's hard to do. It's hard to make those kinds of films and shows. It's always hard because
Is
half
this
the
is
shit
this
is
is
just
this is this
bullshit.
a bear? Is this a downtrend? Is this not going to resolve higher?
I listen. Continue to love the story here. I lightened up
What
pretty
is
much
the
at the lows.
story? You're
Most
breaking
of
my
them.
balls because I'm asking you about the unwind in the US dollar. You're telling me how it doesn't matter. Now you're
Yeah.
telling me about some stories. Great. Does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the most incredible growth stories going for the past 5, 10
Is
years
it?
now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is that true?
easily.
I'm
Kidding
not
me?
being a dick. I'm like
These
legitimately asking. I have no
JC,
idea.
not many businesses have the chance to be a Mag 7, right? They're just not. That's never even a
Oh, and you think
possibility,
that this
right?
does? You think
This
this
has a
does?
chance. The total addressable market here, the things that they can do, the ecosystem play that they can make is just massive. Think about how much you open up your phone and look at Uber Eats, and the way that this brand has literally just sunk into American culture, and taken hold of these two different industries now. So I think Uber is a huge story. I think you buy it when the chart says buy it all day, and you want to, try and hold it for as long as you can.
Throw up the Bitcoin chart. I like the stock if we're above the prior cycle's highs, right? Like so many other
Yeah, make
trades out
it
there.
prove itself at this point. I don't hate that.
Where's
Make it
Listen,
prove itself?
yeah,
What do you mean?
it's got to prove it. Buy it on strength.
Buy the strength. Yep. And then structurally, it's fine as long as it's above the prior cycle highs. Throw up the Bitcoin chart because how have we gone 16 minutes without talking about the Bitcoin? Tried to
How
get above that 90 last week, couple of times, failed twice, sold off over the weekend, a little bit of a reversal overnight. What are your thoughts on the Bitcoin?
there's just still way too much hope out there in the Bitcoin space. I mean, I have never seen just a clearer, more well advertised, just textbook topping pattern, right? And some of my favorite technicians in the world are looking at it and not seeing a top, not seeing a new downtrend. Everything else in crypto already topped out
Well, it
with
also
similar
comes down to
patterns.
time. It also comes down to time horizons too.
And
But
for
you're right.
some reason,
You're right.
people don't want to believe this is a top. I've
Yeah,
never
because
seen anything
but
like
you know
it.
why? Because from structurally, you're still above the prior cycle highs.
Dude,
So like any completion of any tops fall within that context.
yeah, but it's the inner market's too important, because at this point, say there's 100 charts that I look at in crypto, 99 have completed tops, one has not, and that's Bitcoin. So at that point, that's an uphill battle. Then we get the
You can
textbook
argue
retest.
Ethereum never even broke out. Solana
Textbook,
never even broke out.
right? Even worse. Textbook
Yeah.
retest right there, an absolute gift if you didn't get short at the right moment a few weeks ago, right? And everybody's talking about fucking buying it. So I think it's really tough to get excited about any sort of long entry for Bitcoin or anything in crypto now. Probably not tomorrow, probably not next week, probably not next month. I think we're done for a while here.
I loved Strazza last week. He's like, JC, I don't understand why we have to have a bullish approach to Bitcoin. I was like, we do not have to have any kind of bullish approach to Bitcoin at all. It doesn't matter at all. It does not matter. And I think that that's important because for a lot of people, Strazza, particularly some of the people you're thinking about, it does matter. Like their businesses are dependent on Bitcoin going up. They're, you know, they claim that they own a lot, so theoretically their net worth should be going higher. Their reputation is dependent on Bitcoin going up.
Yeah,
You know, all of the
for
things
sure.
that they do every day, all day are dependent on that. Like, just so you have to understand that, like, people, it's not so much that they want it to go up. In a lot of these cases, they need it to go up.
Yep. Be aware of people's
You do not.
incentive structures. Be wary of some of these
Yeah.
Bitcoin maxis who
Yeah.
really have invested their life in Bitcoin going up. You know, JC, I think the way we do things, we get excited. We love Bitcoin. We love crypto bull markets. We're all in.
Who
We're not
doesn't?
afraid to sell it. We're not afraid to sell it and be done with it. We don't marry these things.
No.
I can't wait for a new crypto bull market, but this one's just over for now.
By the way, here's the difference. You want to talk about, you know, one of the things Strazza and I talk about is like behavior. You know, for a long time now, all the sales that I've been making have been because profits, like our targets, have been getting hit. Now sales are because you're getting stopped out, right? You see the difference? So when you talk about like our behavior changes, this is something new that's been happening lately that wasn't happening for a long time. All the sales because targets were hit, you know.
You're talking about crypto.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to sell the double in our IBIT puts today.
It's a great trade. Larry Thompson giving you a shout out. Right? Was that Larry Thompson giving you a shout out? Great trade. Shorting the Bitcoin below 90. I mean, through IBIT. But yeah, that was great.
We had seven or eight straight doubles on uncorrelated equity trades, doing things overseas, staying away from U.S. growth.
You would include China in that category?
Miners. Yeah, China. There was some couple Chinas in there.
No, I know, but you're including China in the non-correlated stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. At least because it has been, right? And then we went on the short side with IBIT and made it 8 or 9 in a row. So that's pretty cool.
Now that you mentioned it, Strazza, sorry, Strazza's here like talking about how 8 in a row just doubled, which is fantastic. So I don't mean to cut you off there. What I was saying is back on the correlation with China, to your point, while U.S. stocks were ripping, China was not participating for a long time, right? So I suppose the fact that it's been doing so well while U.S. stocks are not, I guess is consistent with that same theme.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you just got to keep doing it while it keeps working, because less and less things are working stateside, you know, in U.S. equities market.
Let's talk about the things that are working. Can you throw up slide 8, please, sir?
We know you're buying, Caleb. We know.
Caleb, what's Caleb buying? Healthcare, new multi-month highs here. You know, I've been talking about, I'd be surprised if healthcare wasn't the best performing sector in 2025, or if it wasn't top 3, I would be very surprised, right? Was kind of like my head coming into it. The market continues to confirm that. One of the things I really appreciate about healthcare, first of all, this isn't Canada where healthcare stocks don't exist, right? This is the United States of America. Healthcare is really important. Third largest weighting in the Dow, third largest weighting in the S&P 500. These are massive companies. What I really like about healthcare is that there's so many different things going on in healthcare. You've got your pharmaceuticals and your drug makers. And you've got like your biotechnology stocks. You got your managed healthcare, and you've got medical devices, these are robots doing open heart surgery. These are technology stocks. You know, one of the things when you look at market leaders at a sector level, you want to think about what are the types of industry groups within that sector that are driving it. I think you can put medical equipment right there at the top.
JC, I'm considering this an uncorrelated trade right now also. Look at what
healthcare being uncorrelated.
Look at what healthcare's been doing just these past couple of weeks while the market's getting wrecked. I mean, what a great place to hang out. Go get 6% in Pfizer while you wait for the market volatility to pass. Ain't bad.
Medtronic 4%. Dude, Pfizer's really paying 6%, but that's because the stock sucks. Not because
JC, the dividends in this sector are bananas. Bananas. Interest rates are falling, folks. I don't know. Open-minded.
Look at those medical equipment stocks. You know, again, you know, me coming into the year thinking that healthcare could do so well was mostly as a function of just how poorly it had done so far this bull market, particularly relative to the rest of the market. And, you know, it's really just part of that rotation. You know, it had nothing to do with momentum or relative strength because you didn't have either one of those things. So it was really just a function of rotation and like they're due. Like that was like the majority of my premise for healthcare, by the way, Strazza. As you know.
I got to say something. I got my mind on healthcare right now. I'm not panicking, but I do feel a bit uneasy these days. I'll be completely honest. And
Uneasy about what?
About
I'll
what?
tell you why.
Is 8
First of
trades in
all-
a row that have doubled? Are you not entertained?
Listen, this is the best start to a year I've ever had, and it's been in the down market. So things are going great. However, I get uneasy because I'm a primary trend, long biased person. So I am mindful of, I'm aware in the moment that this is good money and it won't be this good next year or the year after when the bull market ends for me. Right. So I want the bull market to persist. I want it to last for a long time. I want to get out early. I want to get in early. I want to get out on time. Right. And then I know that there's going to be a period, a couple years after that, I'm not going to make as much money in the market because I'm just not going to be as active on the short side. And I'm getting to this realization that we're probably there or close, and I have a lot of selling to do and a lot of changes to make, and I got to prepare for the winter for U.S. equities, and that I do get bummed. I'll be completely honest. I get really bummed in these moments. So somebody saying I'm panicking, no, I've been calling it right the whole time. Been talking about the weakness in U.S. equities, been talking about selling my cryptos on time, selling my Bitcoin. But now I'm kind of sitting back in my chair like, this is a bummer. What am I going to do for a year?
Can I take the other side of that? Can I take the other side of that, please?
Yeah, please do. But that's just me. That's how I feel.
Steve,
I'll take the exact opposite side of it. I'll take the exact opposite side of it. And I wrote about it this morning. So it's not even like I literally wrote about it on my note this morning that I'm the opposite. I'm actually a perma bear. And that's what people don't understand. Selfishly speaking, the best thing that can happen for me and my family is for the market to completely crash and everybody get wiped out and the economy collapses and I could buy real estate on the cheap and I could contribute to my kids' college funds and our retirement accounts at discount levels. That would be the greatest thing that can happen to me and my family. And at the end of the day, I love you guys, but me and my family matter more than you guys. I mean, that's just what it is. Now, with that being said, I don't have any control over that. I can't just press a button, have the market crash, and go shopping for things at a massive discount. Get a beach house for nothing. Get a mountain house. Buy all Bitcoin at 15,000 or something. I would love that, but I can't control that. So while I'm rooting for complete massive destruction in the equities market and risk assets, I don't have any control over it. So I need to focus on how we should be allocating our time. So should we be looking for stocks to buy or should we be looking for, but you see what I'm saying? So like your whole, like, I'm bullish bias, all that stuff. I'll take the exact opposite side of that.
Okay. Just so this is clear for everybody. How is it better for you and your family for the prices of risk assets to go down? Just explain that part. That might be confusing for some people.
Well, see, around here, when markets go down, we make a lot of money generally, right? If history has proven anything. So like we make money on the way down. So that's number one. So while everyone's getting smoked, we're making money. And then number two,
in the college funds,
everybody's putting money to work or if they don't have any money, we have money that we could put to work at discount prices and buy real estate on the cheap. How is that not good?
Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's a backwards way to think of it to some people. I would say.
How so? Because it seems very logical to me.
No. The way most people do is they own the assets, right? They own the assets, and then bull markets happen, and the prices of those assets go up, and then their assets are worth a lot more. They could borrow against them. They could sell them and make money. That's traditionally,
Well, that's how life has been for the last several years. Certainly, all of those things that you just described.
Okay, so you're talking about shopping the deals, in the volatility.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. I'm excited for that too.
Aren't you the one who's like super bullish, like rare vacation homes? What do you call it?
Oh, I got some ideas
rare
about real estate.
Strazza's trying to buy a house in St. Thomas. Right?
I think you go to the most obscure. Just go to the places that people always thought you can't live there. It's impossible. They're all going to have internet soon. Everybody wants to live on the ocean or on an island or somewhere and work from home. More and more people are going to do that. And some of these places are just dirt cheap. And U.S. passport, you can get there. Some of these Virgin Islands, I'm saying, go look. Just take a look. Houses at St. Thomas, go take a look.
I do want to bring Kenny into this conversation because he
speaking of perma bears.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of perma bears.
No, but he's a perma bear because he actually thinks that things should be falling because he thinks that things are a disaster out there. I just want them to. That's the difference.
I'm open to it, Caleb. Ex-US exposure. I'm all in on ex-US exposure. Let's go.
It's all right.
It's been a long time covered. They ain't come for my clock, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hold up. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Kenny Glick, how you doing?
With the rest of the crew go. What's up, everybody?
Oh, just another day in the life, Stocks going up, stocks going down, commodities going up, commodities going down, Forex markets going up, Forex markets going down. You got your NASDAQ down 1.5%, Mr. Perma Bear. What are we doing about it?
I don't know. I came in late to the conversation. You guys all leaving the country? I heard passports are being checked. What's going on?
No. Strazza has this thing because Strazza bought like real estate down in the Florida Keys years ago, and he's made a ton of money off of it. So he's like, this is fucking great. So he's like, and then I'm looking for a beach house and a lake house, and like, I'm looking for like, he has a word for it, like rare, like I don't know, like basically vacation homes, essentially, like in good places. So he's trying to get a place in like St. Thomas or St. John's or one of those. Because you can get them real cheap, dude, real cheap. And then he's in the Florida Keys, so he can be there in 2 seconds. I got a million kids and I live in the Northeast. Like, what am I doing with a house in St. Thomas?
Right. Yeah. I've been looking Costa Rica, and
Costa Rica's another good one, Strazza, by the way. Good call. Yeah.
It's
further though.
It's a little bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be, but I've been doing some due diligence.
Costa Rica is red hot right now. I know people who have moved there. Handful
it really
of them
is. Yeah. It's no joke.
Colombia
so
too.
Right now.
Yeah, it depends on when you live there also, obviously. It's just like anything else.
Yeah, you got to be careful with those. The drug war situation there. And
do you know there's no army in Costa Rica? So if you just wanted to go there and take over, they'd probably just say, okay, why not? So maybe that's on the list. Trump's going to be taking over Costa Rica inevitably. There's no guns there either. That's why. That's the only thing I don't know if I feel comfortable without some sort of arms. But anyway, we'll get to that conversation some other
time. Costa Rica stands for Rich Coast, for you Spanish speakers out there. Rich Coast.
I'm all about pura vida. I felt it when I was there. I was there for 10 days. It was awesome.
What are those yellow beers that they drink there? Imperials.
I don't remember the yellow beers.
The Imperial. That will be 3,000 colones, which is like a
howler monkeys and sloths just chilling.
Dude, Costa Rica's awesome, dude. Been there a
bunch.
It
really was.
Kenny, again, NASDAQ 100. Leading the way to the downside this morning, down 1.5%. I'm being told the bear market is here. I'm being told that, the Trump trade is over. I'm being told that the Fed ruined everything. Yen carry, unwind, all of those things at once. The big hurricane is here, the big storm. Do you buy that?
No, but I enjoy when the narrative starts to change. And it's funny, 2 weeks ago, I said, sooner or later, they're going to start talking about recessions and the media will join in. It's the oil tanker syndrome. We had momentum going one way and now we've turned the other way. So everything turns negative. But I don't think the market, again, this is just a garden variety correction. And the stages of the correction are, hey, this is just a correction. Then we get to the point where, hey, maybe this is more than a correction. A little bit of fear comes in because there really hasn't been too much fear. Everyone's saying how it's a controlled sell-off, and it really has been. There hasn't been that capitulation candle in the day. There's always that underlying bid where you can feel the market's going to be bought on that dip, even though we're trending down. It's been fantastic. The rallies have been pretty good as well. But fear, I don't think even has got to the market yet. And what comes after fear? Capitulation. And after capitulation, there comes the dumbest comment you could possibly say as a bear. This time is different. Yeah, like it's never going to come back, right? When we're at that stage, and we're nowhere near that stage.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Kenny.
Yeah.
So in a situation like this, are you really just looking to buy that weakness in the NASDAQ on a crossover above the VWAP and just get long and strong for that mean reversion? Like, is that really just where your head is at right now?
Well, yeah. When you're gapping down like this, now that we're in a more of a bearish environment, you're getting.
Share your screen. Show us the cues.
Oh, I don't have it up. Just suffice to, I'll just look at my beautiful face today. So here's what's happening. So you'll come in on a morning like this and you immediately buy. Now the buyers are hesitant. That's the difference. There's just that subtle difference. So they're still out there, but you got to let it bleed a little bit. And that's where the faux show bro comes in. So let them bleed, let them break down, let them get to the fear moment, then the capitulation. Just like over the next couple of weeks and months, you're going to see that. It's the same thing intraday. You'll get that moment where everybody gives up. That's the shakeout part. And then it turns. And then if you back above VWAP, you have the beautiful move. So just like Friday, but again, the difference between the market right now is that the Friday rally, you have to understand there's sucker moves. And that's why we were buying puts into the rally on Friday for the overnight, which is usually a dumb idea to buy options the next week for the prior week for the next week, because you're losing the weekend premium. But that's the name of the game right now. So now normally it's an easy.
So you're saying, hold on, stop right there. So
Yeah.
you're saying that you're paying more for those options on Friday because of the weekend premium. So
yeah, especially with the weeklies. So generally you don't want to buy an option on Friday that expires on Monday, because if you're wrong, it's 100% loss. But that's been the trend lately. So if they rally, it's a sucker rally on Friday, and you don't know it's a sucker rally, but you kind of feel that difference right now. And you just buy the puts into that move. And it's not going to even be that much of a great trade. I think that maybe it's 100%, which is not that great anymore on options, especially. But, again, back to the point of the day is usually they're getting bought at the open. The market starts to rally straight out of the gate because people are just excited about buying the gap down. It's different now. So that's the little bit that's different. You're seeing more selling, then the buyers show up. And again, remember, standard practice, Friday, Monday, turn around Tuesday. So again, let it bleed today. And I just thought I'd say long-term traders, Big Al, my dad, pulled his bid. He's scared for the first time in a long time. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And usually he's a buy on dipper. You cannot convince him anything of anything else. He's pulled his bid. He's thinking we're going a little bit lower, and he's really in tune with the market, and he's a long-term trader. So usually he's coming into the Qs already. He's thinking, just same thing as I'm thinking. I think we get another 10% to the downside, which would be fantastic, to your point earlier. Let it come down. I mean, you're telling me I could buy NVIDIA under $100? Yeah. You're going to tell me Palantir is going back to $58, $60? Cool, I'm in. So again, my bearishness is good. The selfishness of the bear, that's exactly, I'm on the same plate, again, and also I'm liquid. So I love the volatility these last 15 days.
So hold on. So I'm told that that I was reminding everybody how self-centered I am because I want the market to crash.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, Kenny, like in the market, should I be rooting for other people's wallets, or am I in the market to make money for myself? How do you feel about that? Are you rooting for yourself, or are you rooting for other people?
I've never met a trader that's not selfish. So let's come on, seriously, come on. We're all out for self. It's a battle. You're talking to the warlock here. I'll rip your throat out.
We don't have to pretend that I'm like rooting for other people's portfolios. Like I'm rooting for my own, bro.
Yeah. No. I'm here to crush everybody. Yeah. So again.
So there's as JC always has money to buy the dips. Yes, that is the point. You see, you want to have money to buy the dips if buying the dips is something that you want to do. Yes, boom.
Now,
Somebody finally nailed it.
My silver and stuff. I bought even more. I bought a tombstone. I bought the tombstone silvers out today. So death to the market. Tombstone silver is ready to rock.
What is a tombstone silver?
It's just silver. It's like poured silver, and it's shaped like a tombstone. Kind of like.
Is it heavy? How much does that weigh?
It's 5 ounces. Yeah, I got all shapes and sizes.
So 5 ounces at $30. So what is that? Like $150, $160?
Soon to be 50 an ounce, baby. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. On that note, hell yeah. I agree, by the way.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So what about the stock market? Let it bleed. Let it bleed.
Hope it goes
again,
to zero.
Listen, if we give up Friday's lows, which is the 480, I thought we were going to get the 475 on Friday. 475 seems inevitable. The question is, does it hold? I'm talking about the Qs. I think we're breaking 475. And if I'm right, and we do get fear into capitulation into this time is different, we're looking at the yen carry lows. And if you bring me back to 420 on the QQQ, let's go test those August lows. I think the buyers are going to show up down there for sure. Everybody's going to be scared, but that's where I think you'll get a serious bounce. Q's at 420. I'll see you there tomorrow.
Adios.
And he's gone. All right.
We got some questions in the chat. JC says, buy my service. Also, JC, I don't care about you, Rachel. Or don't buy the service. I don't care whether you do or not. Like, I'll be good whether you buy it or not. If you want the data and get the trade ideas, the biggest and most successful investors on the planet all come and buy it. You don't have to. It won't change my life at all.
I think you hit a nerve today, JC. I think you hit a nerve.
Why? Because people think I should care?
No, I'll tell you what it is. It's people freak out when the bull market ends. That's what's going on. What's going on?
Is the bull market
That's what's
over?
going
By
on.
the way,
I don't know.
on that note, we're about to bring in Todd Sohn. For those of you listening out there, I can't begin to tell you just how lucky you are, and me included, and Strazza and Spencer, to have Todd Sohn here with us, right? Like, this is a guy that whether anybody was listening or not, you know, whether we were doing the show or not, I would be calling and saying, "Hey, Todd, what's up? What are you doing? Knicks still suck, huh? What's going on with the market?" You know, right? Like, these are the conversations we'd be having anyway. And like Strazza always says, what we do here in the morning show is what we would be doing anyway, for the most part, right? For the most part. And we get to use it as an excuse to get good guests, right?
We're so lucky to have the friends that we have, be able to have these conversations about markets.
Do it.
All right,
Blur blur.
let's do it.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Todd
Oh,
Sohn.
Mr. Todd Sohn. How are you, sir? Oh, someone's on mute. Oh, God. First timer? No, we lost him. Oh,
Todd
amazing.
Sohn.
Such a good-looking man, too. Look at that smile on his face. He's got that shit-eating grin right there on his face. Look at him. He's
What
just
is that
ready
about?
to go. He wants to talk charts. He wants to talk ETFs, and the technology just doesn't let him.
What kind of room are you in, Todd? Are you safe? Is that like a mob poster?
Blink twice if you're okay.
Are you okay, Todd? Are they don't let you speak?
You know what? I didn't think we needed to do a test because Todd comes on the show every month. So I was
Todd
like,
Todd does lots of shows. He's always on TV and like it works. Though.
Amazing. All right, get him out of here. Try it
Wait,
again.
hold on a second.
Try it again.
I want to give Todd a minute to work it out.
They say I'm sounding like Mike Warren and Jim Feist. I don't know who those people are, but they do say that I sound like the Cuban John Madden. I do get that one.
Yeah. You know what? You got a good radio voice. You could have been an announcer. You could have been an announcer.
Cuban John Madden. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like that because John Madden is the man, or was the man.
You have one of those unique voices. You know, Spencer used to work with another guy, Joel Elconin. The voice on that guy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people just have these special voices, right?
Yeah.
I think you have one of them. Really do.
When Morgan and I first started dating, like 12 years ago or whatever, I used to do that show all the time, and she would crash at the, my house, at my apartment, obviously, and like wake up, and I would be there doing, and she's like, "Who is that?"
It's what a voice, man. Made
she
for
would
radio.
hear the voice. So yeah, she's quite familiar with Joel.
Oh, it's a margin call poster. Yeah. Oh, cool. Cool, Todd. That's neat. Get it? Like margin call in the office. Get it? It's a finance movie. No.
That's what Mike Tyson's there, right? Because all the financials say that everybody has a plan, so you get punched in the mouth.
Boom. He actually said that.
I mean, at this point, I've seen so many financial advisors use that. He better have fucking said that.
when I don't know who said something good, me and Pat made this rule years ago. When we don't know who said it, you just give it to Paul Tudor Jones, because the internet gives him like half of the great quotes that aren't even his.
No, it's a good one. No, you're right.
Just give it to Paul Tudor Jones. No one will ever say anything.
Yeah, that's
quotes,
fair.
Quotes.
PTJ, very quotable. The 200, for me, the best PTJ. I mean, there's so many PTJ, so I guess it would be disingenuous to say the best. Are we back? Nope. See ya.
Oh, Todd,
Get him out of here.
Todd,
Stick him in the bathroom.
Todd, check your
him in the
email.
bathroom.
Todd, check your email. I'll shoot you a note.
Todd, tell him to come on the phone if anything. We got to hear from Todd. Like, I just hyped him up about how great he is.
I know.
Listen,
I know.
something we know for a fact. This is facts only. Some of the best traders, analysts that I know on Wall Street are terrible when it comes to just simple technology. Have you noticed that, Strazza?
Yes. I'm one of them. I get so excited and like so proud of myself when I do tech well. Like when I fix something in my office.
Has that happened ever? I don't think so.
It's so rare, but like when I fix something, like I figured out one of my cords was just old, and that was the problem. It was just a cord, and I've changed the cord, and I got hyped when I fixed it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Feels good.
Yeah. So I got as Todd's coming back, I've got like a big like garbage bin situation, and then like through the winter it got like damaged, and I'm thinking, do I just order a new one, or do I try to fix the one I have? What do you think? Should I just order a new one? They're expensive, and I got to build. Then I got to build it. Like it's like a process. It's not just the money.
How is it damaged?
Like the things that like open it, like the wood came off of it, so I have to like with the drill gun.
Oh, the thing for the thing the bins go in, is that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Should I try to fix it, like Mr. Fix It guy, or no? Don't do it.
Just hire someone on like Thumbtack or
So you
one of
think
these
that's what I should do?
services.
Just get the guy. He's got a sweet mullet, my guy.
Definitely use him. Use him.
Don't try to do it myself.
No, if he's got a mullet, yeah.
He's official. All right, I'm gonna text him. Usually my wife is the one who handles this sort of thing. But she's not around.
Hey guys, Mondays are usually slow, but there is actually something we could discuss while we wait for Todd to figure out his tech. Redfin Rocket.
Yeah.
So you want to break that down for us? I am a Rocket shareholder.
You haven't seen a lot of the M&A of late.
No, you haven't.
Who bought what?
This one makes sense, right? Is this a horizontal merger?
You could call it that. Rocket Companies, which is formerly known as Quicken Loans, they're buying Redfin for what, 1.75 billion, right?
They want the data, right?
Yeah.
It's a data play, is it not?
I don't understand. Who bought who?
Rocket Companies, RKT, is buying Redfin for 1.75 billion. Just of note, the thing I noted was that Redfin a few years ago, that was a $10 billion company.
Yeah,
It's got really for 1.75.
So they kind of screwed the pooch, and they were looking like a slow ride to zero was underway. I don't know what they did wrong. If this was one of those, like, did they get into real estate like Zillow and kind of like totally miss on that? I don't know what happened, but something has gone significantly wrong with their business in recent years.
And Rocket is Michigan, right?
Rocket is the largest mortgage provider in the world. Maybe
Are they?
UWMC. They're one or two. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense to this is a complementary business. This is Redfin's like Zillow, same thing, right?
Got it.
It's interesting.
So Redfin is like Zillow, and then they do the mortgages. So if you're in with the people buying the houses who need mortgages, if you're in the mortgage business, those are hot leads.
Yeah. I think it's a data play, really. And Rocket has had really for over a year now one of those archy bases that you just really want to be a part of when they go.
This is that first trade that doubled in the breakout multiplier when you first launched that.
Yeah, that was a post earnings candle trade, just like we did with C Limited.
All right, I think I got Todd back, by the way.
Let's do it.
Todd,
does this work?
Hey, come on now. How you doing?
I blame Apple Bluetooth.
No,
sorry,
it's on you. So what's up, Todd?
A lot of heat in the chat room today. I got nervous.
How about that?
Send him in check, Toddy. Send him in check.
That's a bear market chat. That's what a bear market chat looks like.
Interesting.
Todd, why do you go to Vegas so much? Or do you have a gambling problem?
I don't like to gamble anymore.
You don't like to gamble anymore because of your recent trip, or just in general?
Just in general. It just causes me frustration and angry looks from my wife.
Okay.
There's better risk versus reward opportunities in the market. I'm convinced that this whole gambling thing is a tax on the stupid.
Yeah, like
that's correct.
I'll sit at the roulette table and be like, could have bought a call option. Could have bought a call option.
Yeah, it's just not enjoyable anymore.
All right.
I feel like it never was for me. Like it's just gambling just never made any sense. Like, being able to buy something and I could potentially have a 5-bagger or a 10-bagger and risk $1 for, I like that kind of stuff, right? Being able to analyze trends, identify momentum, Todd, things like that, right?
It's just far easier than sitting at a blackjack table and guessing what goes on.
That's right.
I mean, it helps. You can add on the fly, but man, just.
Todd, do you believe, like so many, that the bear market is here officially?
What? So down 20?
That's bullshit. That whole 20% thing is nonsense.
Well, we need a way to measure it.
I'm talking about a period of time where more stocks are falling, and an increase in those participating to the downside, and that persists over time. through the rest of the year or something like that, right? Is that
And
what
the
a bear
large
market
cap-
would look like?
We are in some sort of corrective process, tell you that much, which I think is pretty okay given where we are in this bull market cycle.
Yeah.
You've been uncorrected since October 2023. That's fine, but sometimes these things happen, and it's a little bit of a rolling correction. First, it was home builders and semis,
Yep.
and now it's hitting the more software and consumer type names, I think.
Financials.
Yeah, financials are now getting caught up in it, and maybe Europe gets caught in it now too.
Well, it's interesting that the U.S. financials started to sell off, and European financials closing new all-time highs last week. Right.
Yeah.
So what do you make about Germany, Europe in general,
Oh, hold on.
Hong Kong, like as part of this whole conversation?
Shout out European financials, best week ever relative.
Yeah, if you
US
bought them on
financials.
if you bought EUFN on day one, you finally made $1.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
that base finally broke out.
You
Sorry, go ahead, Todd. I just had to shout out the European. financials.
What do I think about that? I think
Todd had to give the dig to the ETF providers for their timing. Just had to really stick it to them. I see what you did there, Todd. I see you.
yeah, they don't care about Europe.
They're good at what they do.
There's been 2 new Europe launches in the last 6 years. One was aerospace and defense, which is having a moment, and the other one was luxury goods as a China play.
You need to pay close attention for leveraged European long funds. I want to know when those start hitting the market.
There's one of those already that's been around for ages. From
What's the ticker on that one again?
Hold on. Before we get into this, can you just rewind? Hold on. We just kind of glazed over this. This is a very important fact that we've discussed, but I feel like a lot of people in the chat don't know this. Go back to how many ETF launches in Europe there have been in the last 6 years?
2 over the last 6 years.
Compared to how many ETF launches do you have in other themes?
God, I mean, AI or tech is 100. Everything else you could think of. I mean, we got quantum, we got MAGA, we got everything. Everything out there.
2 in Europe.
2 focused specifically on Europe. There's plenty of developed international stuff out there, but that's your typical asset allocation type stuff.
That's so bad.
They don't care about Europe because there's no growth.
And then so getting back to putting what's happening in the United States into context, I have a theory that Strazza says doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to him. But I have a theory that the destruction of the US dollar has been so aggressive that it has helped accelerate that unwind into international, right? Things like Europe and Germany, things like Hong Kong. And because that has happened so fast because of the destruction of the dollar, that it's caused essentially some of the largest, most liquid U.S. stocks to become a source of funds to help that trade. Do you think that there's anything there at all, or are you like Strazza where it doesn't matter?
I think there's something there.
You think there's something there?
I think whether you're
this is Todd Sohn, someone who Steve Strazza respects very much. Very much.
Dude, I didn't say it wasn't true. I just said I don't know what I would do with that information.
Strazza? Can you let him talk?
I think if you're a global asset manager, you've been super overweight the US, and that's reflected in the benchmarks too. It was 70% US stocks in the MSCI World Index. That's worked out great, right? Totally. It's been the right call. But at some point, if you get worried about whatever's going on here, we don't do the economic thing, but if there's a deterioration there, you got to sell some of the stuff you're overexposed to and diversify it overseas.
Yeah.
Where things actually kind of make sense and there's way less tech there.
And why wouldn't US large cap growth become an ATM in these times? That's where all the money's been made.
Yeah, that's literally where everyone is super overweight.
Something you just said kind of just is giving me an idea. Do you chart out the weightings of the different countries in the MSCI World Index over time?
Yeah,
that's
of course. I mean, that's
so how growth in the weighting?
That's great.
Or decline?
Yeah, I mean, in 2009, I think Europe had a larger weight than the US in the ACWI index.
Stop.
Either 2008 or 2009.
Lows at the financial crisis lows or right after.
I mean, that's crazy to think about.
But that's when the rotation started, right? That's when SPY EFA bottomed.
Yeah, exactly. And there was just a massive
like that. You hear something like that, and you think back today with hindsight, it's like, why wouldn't US dominate Europe for the next 10 years?
Well, because
Europe
everybody
is
thought
largely
China was
that
going to
way.
dominate. That's why.
It was the China thing was there, right? But that's just
China's
crazy to
getting
think
the
about.
Olympics. Remember all
It
that
is.
nonsense?
All right. So now how has that progressed? Now 15 years later, 16 years later, what does that look like?
Well,
18.
Europe's been cut in half in terms of exposure in those benchmarks.
Holy cow.
And Asia, Japan is
So-
small weight. China is a small weight, depending on which one we're talking about. So there's a lot of I would deem excess out there, extremes that persisted for some time, and now it seems like maybe we're finally getting a little bit of the reversion.
You know, the more I think about Europe, it reminds me of China, Todd. Like we tell this story about China, how it used to be such a huge weighting, and now EM managers don't want it anymore. And the MSCI emerging market weight that was assigned to China has really dropped off significantly. Chinese stocks are so cheap on any sort of valuation basis, coming off such depressed levels. Sentiment, nobody wants them. Like they check all these boxes. Europe is really the same in most of these ways that I just mentioned. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to play China, I think Europe is the best derivative of it.
Right.
Right,
It's just a lot of similarities.
If China consumers are buying luxury goods, they're buying European luxury goods, right?
That's a good point too. You're
The
absolutely
autos,
right.
it probably falls apart when you talk about autos because they buy the BYD stuff, like the local.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the luxury names have a bigger influence there.
Well, you could just buy BYD. Shout out
Or you could just
BYD.
you could just buy BYD and then buy European luxury goods and European defense.
LVMH,
Remember-
for sure. Do you look at some of the country breakdowns and just say, how could I get behind, investing in whatever, Sweden? Maybe that's not a good example, but some of the mixes, it's like a giant utilities company, some massive banks, like an industrial that maybe you heard of, and then some like obscure pharma company, and that's really what you're buying in some of these baskets. Now, like,
Well, look at Denmark. It's just Novo Nordisk, which is getting hammered. Interestingly,
some of them have very high like single stock risk too.
Yeah. So I always get that, like, because I show that top 10 weight chart a lot for the S&P that we all talk about. And it's like, well, okay, look at international indices like a Denmark or Sweden, whatever.
Mhm.
The only problem is, which are dominated by 2 or 3 stocks. The only problem is all the money's tracking the S&P. No, there's no money tracking Denmark.
Right.
Or some of those smaller markets. So I get that there's more concentration risk in single European markets, but there's no money there,
right,
in bulk.
And how about India? Like, where does India kind of?
Was India the first bear market out of this whole cycle here? I mean, outside of China, which is doing its thing, India's
and I want
bear
I'll
market.
give Strazza props on that one. Strazza was like, if this China's going to go, money's going to come from India.
Comes out of India, yeah.
And I felt I agreed that some could, right, but not to the degree that Strazza was pounding the table on, and he was absolutely right. I totally underestimated just how powerful that rotation would be.
It's the same dynamic, JC, that you just described with U.S. growth stocks being an ATM for international, right? That's where the money flowed into. And when it used to be in Europe, maybe in a lot of ways, and now it's simply going back. In India, you look at the chart of India. India has been the leader in emerging markets for so long. That's been the only money maker, right? That's where all the money was made. Yeah. So now that's the ATM to get into China when it's completing a trend reversal. It's just so beautiful. I love to see it.
A beautiful game. I don't know. India, you'll get a bounce. It's oversold, but I don't think we're through that yet. You probably got to get large cap growth to bottom before India really comes back too.
It's a big top. And the relative trends don't look good right now either. So looks like it's going to take some time.
But like other EM, I don't know. China's working. LATAM to me is a little bit of, it's a mess. I can make both cases of it. And then what else are we left with?
Chile looks great though.
All right.
I guess the esoteric stuff.
I got to tell you guys something.
Shoot.
I dipped my toes in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia last week.
So what like Malaysia?
A little Philippines.
Vietnam. Tell me about
Malaysia.
Vietnam.
Definitely some VNM. I'm going to buy more of them soon.
This is his bias like coming out.
Buy. What?
I'm more of a fan of the cuisine than the stocks.
Oh, dude, you got to get on board with the stocks. Get on board with the stocks.
Strazza has like a bullish bias towards Vietnam because he loves Vietnam.
I went golfing.
I like a banh mi.
I went golfing with a guy, a new guy. I just met him out on the course because we had 3 this weekend. So I played with like a new person, and he was telling me all about. He's like a big boat captain guy. He's traveled all around the world on yachts, and he's planned a trip. He's going to Vietnam for the whole month, and he's starting in the north, and he's making his way all the way down to like Ho Chi Minh City. And I was so upset just hearing him tell me about the trip that he had planned. I left after 9 holes.
And you ran back and bought Vietnam. Or did you buy
Vietnam? It was already on my mind. I bought it the day before.
was it ACEA, I think. I think that's a Southeast Asia.
Oh,
ETF.
yeah. So that's Southeast Asia. I got to look into that fund. I don't know why it's so low vol. It doesn't move.
Yeah,
it doesn't move at all. Like, look at it.
No trading in it or something like that. I forget what's even in there, to be honest with you. I just know it exists.
The way I think about Southeast Asia, though, is that these are satellites of China. And if China's completing a trend reversal and Hong Kong's following and completing a trend reversal, and you look at the other developed country in the space, Singapore, also a trend reversal, these guys are going to get up off the ground and catch up, right? They're the ARC stocks of that region of the world. So I think they'll have their time. And I'm starting to build into these bases is what
the way he says that, like that's a positive, Todd. You saw that?
Yeah. Listen,
he said that with a smile on his face, like, oh, like that's a good thing that they're
some of the ARC stocks had a great 24, not so much right now.
No, feeling it. But some look really good.
Todd, let's get back to America here. You know, America. The land that I love, right? I came into the year simply from a rotation standpoint, had nothing to do with momentum and relative strength, thinking that healthcare could be the best performing sector in 2025. So far, it's doing pretty well. And some of that had to do with the relative strength in the medical equipment, right? Because I'm thinking, you know, if a sector is going to be a leader, there's got to be at least one industry within that sector that's going to be a major driver, you know, and you can at the very least point to medical equipment as being that potential. So that was kind of where my head was at. Coming into the year, we've seen that healthcare has a defensive tilt to it, particularly some of those industry groups in there. But it's the third largest weighting in the S&P and third largest in the Dow.
We love healthcare.
Really important. So you love healthcare as a sector, or you love healthcare like to buy it right now? Like, what do you love about it?
Both.
Both.
Did I cut you off there, by the way? Sorry.
No. I was wondering, like, what do you mean I love healthcare? Like, do you love like how diversified it is, or do you love like buying it right here, right now because you think it's going to be a leader, right? Like that's the question, or both.
Yeah,
said, right?
we like both. It's diversified, so you can plug and play it if you're a growth or value manager, because we deal with those here, right?
True.
I look at healthcare flows, massive amount of money out of healthcare sector ETF, so everyone kind of gave up on it. Healthcare, listen, on a relative basis, healthcare has been awful. But sometimes when you approach awful, it becomes enticing. And now we're seeing that, right? We have a choppier overall market. I would much rather buy healthcare names than some of these consumer staples, which have been a disaster. And the other thing about healthcare is, I mean, like, even if you look at a long-term chart of Merck or Regeneron, you put some momentum indicators on it, like it's like generational oversold. So like I'm not diving into those names, but that's interesting to me. And then med equipment is my favorite because Abbott, Medtronic, work your way down there. Those names have been in a bear market since 2021. They're doing the whole big bearish to bullish reversals. So I just think healthcare makes a lot of sense because of these names that are exhibiting strength on a relative basis, and they're emerging from the bear markets from the last few years as a little replacement too.
I'm interested to hear your sentiment thoughts. You know, I didn't mention that, but coming into the year, part of the reason, you know, part of that rotation was again sentiment from coming out from washout levels. Not so much relative strength and momentum, right? But mostly like, if this is a bull market and it's got legs, healthcare's got to participate at some point, considering how massive the weighting is. How do you think about, so number one, can you touch on the sentiment? And number two, how do you think about healthcare being such a massive weighting in the S&P 500 and the Dow, like as an importance to the asset?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have a bull market, you kind of want healthcare to be involved. Like, yeah, of course you want utilities and energy to go up, but healthcare is the second or third weight, as you said. So it's kind of necessary for it to go up. And it's been a struggle. I mean, managed care is still the messy spot there. The other interesting thing is that when we go around to some meetings, people are terrified of the administration, right? The RFK, is I don't know what he's going to do. We got no more Red 40 or something like that in our food, which is probably for the better. So that's apocalyptic in terms of anecdotal sentiment. The flows are bad. I think sentiment for the broader market, I get it. The surveys are bearish. We've seen those, but it's still interesting to me that you haven't really had any spikes in put call data. I don't know if that's maybe more people are just using inverse ETFs or zero DTE or something like that.
You know, you touched on something, Spencer. If you could throw up slide 9 there. You touched on the bearish sentiment. So the American Association of Individual Investors showing the most bearish sentiment since literally the market bottomed in 22. Can you throw that up, Spencer?
They're still allocated to stocks, though. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my only point here was, do you think that a lot of this is due to the fact that what these individuals own, which is the mega cap growth stocks, they don't own Germany, they don't own healthcare, they don't own China, they own mega cap growth, and that's why this is so extreme. Is that why?
I think there's something to that because I get it. The survey's getting a lot of attention because it's so extreme, but I think that's it. Everyone over-owns NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, especially if you're buying individual stocks or if you're buying the S&P and large cap growth. Those are all overexposed to those names. So I just am not sure if this survey is telling the real story right now.
It's also the most erratic of all the surveys. It's the one that moves. It's very emotional, which they're individual investors, so that makes sense, right?
I'm not buying this. It's an input into our work, but it's not my main ingredient, I guess. It's kind of the salt.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. We create a composite where we include a whole bunch of stuff, including the put call stuff, and we're somewhere in the middle.
I agree. Like there's some interesting data points, and there's some that are not reflecting stocks down. They're not down that much, but a flush, I think, is probably the right word.
All right, I'm going to ask you two questions. What is the most bullish data point out there for equities? Pointing to 15-20% of upside in the S&P 500 here. What is the most bearish data point you're seeing out there that would point to the opposite happening?
The most bearish to me is the percent of stocks in an uptrend, just with their 50-day above their 200-day. That's down in the mid 50s. I don't love that.
Yeah, you got to get above 60.
I would rather be 60, 65. Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be 90 to 100. Unless you're in a raging bull, which has happened. But let's get it to okay territory.
Yeah. Agreed.
And then the most bullish is I look to Europe and international. Europe, I'm surprised. European financials, how about that? As much as they're down a little bit today, have acted really well. It doesn't seem like we're at a credit event.
Right.
I think it's kind of the way I'm looking at this.
Because if there was a credit event, you wouldn't see China and you wouldn't see Europe and European banks for that matter.
And that can change over the coming weeks. But in this moment in time, it's like, okay, this is more about I think a positioning unwind in excess rather than a credit issue.
Yep. No, I think you're spot on. I wish I didn't agree with you so much, but I agree with literally everything you just said there. 100%.
Unless we're missing something, I don't know.
What's the second most bullish data point out of curiosity?
Second most bullish. I think it's a good thing that tech is getting hit a little bit. It's that may be like an oxymoron, but just to get
bring it back to reality. And what's the second most bearish data point?
Second most bearish data point. I don't know. Maybe some of the life from defensive discretionary staples. I'm curious to see how that reacts. Yep. That was in an uptrend. You're oversold in an uptrend. I think
equally weighted or cap weighted?
Equally weighted. Yeah, I like to equally weight it. That's going to give us some good clues on what risk appetite is into the second and third quarter, I think. Because you've mean reverted there. How does that response look like? If we bounce and roll over, then we're not through this yet. I think that's a fair one.
Getting hit pretty hard today. 250 basis points. Coming from staples over discretionary. So that's great. Any final questions there, Mr. Strazza, while you have Todd here with us?
I think it's the traditional staples too, not Walmart and Costco. So I'm a renter of those. I'm not a buyer of them because they're still.
You make an excellent point there, because when people think about the cap weighted issues with discretionary staples. Everybody thinks about Amazon and Tesla, but it's really on the staple side. They're just as guilty, if not worse, right?
Totally. Walmart, Costco, and a little P&G.
Yep. Good call.
Todd, are you meeting us at Future Proof?
Oh, TBD. I got maybe a slight chance of making my way down there because I'll be in Atlanta, so I'm not too far. And then I got to go to Vegas.
Atlanta's in Georgia, not Florida.
Well, geographically the same rather than being
Close
here
enough.
in New York.
Still a flight away. No, you should come.
But I will definitely be at California Future Proof. I can assure you of that, even though it's much farther than Miami.
Hearing whispers that this one will be even more fun.
Wait, Steve, is Future Proof in Miami?
Yeah, it's like right
everywhere.
Oh, then Todd, you should know that Atlanta is geographically closer to Canada than to Miami.
I was in Toledo, Ohio last week, by the way. So
there was a battle there.
The Battle of Toledo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of like the Ohio State, Michigan beef started with the Battle of Toledo.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I was an hour from Ann Arbor, though.
Right?
I thought about
Spencer Israel. Can you chime in
yes,
here?
They for some reason they both won at Toledo. It's unclear to me why.
The beef started before Michigan, Ohio State football.
I just passed the Ohio State Stadium when I drove from Columbus to Toledo. Riveting.
Yeah, I've been there. It's the loudest I've ever heard a stadium in my entire life, and I've been to a zillion football games and stadiums all over the country. I have never heard a stadium louder than the Horseshoe. True story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Look nice. Look lovely.
Yeah, it's not that nice, but it's loud.
Yeah.
It's loud and historic, which is dope.
Yeah, I can get with that.
All right, Toddy. I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you for
Take
that.
care.
Thanks, Todd.
All right. See ya.
Bye, guys.
We are incredibly fortunate, all of us, myself, Spencer Israel, Steve Strazza, everybody in the chat. Shout out everybody in the chat to be able to, sit down with Todd and have a real civilized conversation about money flow and what's happening out there. Right, Spencer? Did you enjoy that?
I do, and I would say to the chat, don't let Jace take it under your skin. I feel like Jace is getting under people's skin today. Don't let him bug you. Don't let him bother you.
Listen,
right?
the bottom line is this. I read the chat. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys being here more than you'll ever know. We like to have fun around here. I don't care what you're doing in your portfolio. It's not my problem. I only care about my own. And if you're interested in our trades, if you go to allstarcharts.com/trades, everything is there. Every single trade since 2015, as a matter of fact. So you can go back and look. I know people were saying, oh, where do we get the trades? allstarcharts.com/trades. We try to keep it simple around here, All
right. I want to bring on Sam just for a couple minutes and then we'll hop because there is, believe it or not, JC, we're actually still in earnings season. We got more.
When is it not earnings season?
More retailers.
It's not the heart.
More retailers this week. Let's look at the calendar real fast. Who do we have? Where's my calendar? It's somewhere in this deck. There's a calendar.
Should we do a little beat report?
Yeah, I was gonna, but there's my calendar. Okay. We got Kohl's, we got Dick's Sporting Goods, Oracle's tonight. Adobe is Wednesday. Dollar General. That's kind of it. Not much. But Sam came prepared. He brought some charts.
Oh,
yo,
Sammy?
What's up, guys?
Sammy the Bull coming in hot right now. Is it bad to call him Sammy the Bull? Didn't he go to jail? That guy went to prison, right? Sammy the Bull. Sammy the Bull, he was a rat. Sammy the Bull was a rat, so we can't call Sam that. We can't have rats.
Yeah, I'm not a rat.
No, Sammy the Bull was a rat.
Sam, something is going on. I'm glad you're here to talk about this. Sam and I are looking through earnings reports and the market reactions to those reports every day here for all the companies that are reporting in the S&P 500 and other companies that we track. We talk about so much lately how Bitcoin and crypto, the price action has just changed. The news is so good, but no matter how good it is, it just can't put a bid or a rally into Bitcoin and friends. When I think of the mega cap growth stocks, whether it's Broadcom from last week or Nvidia from the week or two before, or all the Mag 7s that reported before that, great reports, really, really solid, hit it out of the park type of earnings reports, but the market doesn't really like them anymore. Do you notice maybe sentiment shifting in the way that companies react to good earnings reports this quarter?
Without a doubt, yeah. And it's been a trend for the last few months, really. It's not just this quarter, but like I think Nvidia has really been the poster child of this bull market. They had their amazing earnings report. I think it was Q2 2023, gapped up like 20% above the prior cycle's high. We all know what ended up happening. It rallied like 1,000%, became a $3 trillion stock.
That was
Uh,
almost 2 years ago.
that was
Yeah.
almost 2 years ago, and now today they're still posting incredible earnings reports, but the market's just not rewarding them. On their last earnings report, the market engulfed, like I think it was maybe more than 1 day, but it was just a terrible, awful, giant red candlestick, and that's just not bullish at all. Um, and that's across the board, like the hottest growth stories in the market are not really being rewarded. Look at something like AppLovin.
Yeah.
This stock has
Brutal.
absolute beast. And now you have the short sellers drooling over this one, saying
Yeah.
it's a whole scam. And I don't know how true any of that is, but nonetheless, the market is skeptical of the growth prospects there. And
You know,
that's
it's
what I've been
amazing. It's amazing how quick the narrative will change when the trends shift, right? App loving, you couldn't find a better growth story. Everybody loved it, right? Analysts are tripping over themselves for the last 2 years to upgrade this stock. Now, all of a sudden, rolls over, gives a little bit back, stops reacting positively to earnings, and like you said, the short sellers are out there smelling blood. So you gotta act quick here. What stands out from the reports from the other day? I know you brought a table.
Well, on Friday, you saw Broadcom uh, have its earnings reaction, and you can see on there it closed over 8% higher after reporting a double beat. And I was actually on Slack talking with one of our portfolio accelerator members about the gross intraday action in this Broadcom stick. We were talking about watch the market just turn this stick into a red candlestick after it was up like 15% after hours the day before. So like
Yeah.
that would be the kind of thing we're expecting in this market environment.
The
You get a
nastiest price
15%
action.
gap and then they just give it all back. The
Yeah,
Jerry all back, as Kenny would call it.
how ugly the price action was for Avago is actually not shown on the chart because it happened in market after hours.
For sure. Yeah. But no, if you go to the next chart, Spencer, you can see that
Throw up the
the
Avago.
daily candlestick closed almost at the very high of the day. So that was extremely bullish. And also this took place at a very, very important level. This 186 is where the stock closed last quarter before its earnings report, which actually led to the best earnings reaction in the history of the Broadcom Avco stock.
Wow.
Oh,
It actually joined the $1 trillion market cap for
On that
a
can.
few days.
Remember that.
It's given that back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it there again in the near future. And
I like that Jerry Allback shot out there.
hold on, go back. I like charts like this right now, right? Where based on everything else, I think, sure, gun to my head, this level probably breaks, but I'll buy this. I'll buy levels like this. They're so clean, and leaders like, Broadcom, where you risk $1, right? In the case you're wrong, it's for very small loss. They just reported earnings, right? There shouldn't be some big gap coming up. So I think you could take shots like this in this market still.
For sure. And this stock is trading at 24 times its forward earnings.
Not expensive.
And it's growing revenues at 25% each year.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's an incredible story.
But Sam, it's tough. Like the valuation stuff right now, I could paint such a bullish story around how Nvidia is so cheap, with their earnings and results, but they're just not rewarding them anymore. So I think
But
that
this one was rewarded, Strazza. That's the difference.
I got to see it. You know what I'll tell you, right? Because sometimes you'll get the earnings reaction in the same day. Sometimes it takes a week to get that full reaction. Sometimes the broader market holds something down. The earnings reaction comes the next day, like C Limited last week. I don't think we've seen this earnings reaction yet. I want to see a big candle, either up or down, and see it pick a direction. That's the reaction. The market's so confused.
And you're swimming against the current too. Like we've
Yes.
been talking about semiconductors on a relative basis,
Yeah.
completing a top and rolling over. So you're really betting on this one
Listen,
standing out.
If it does dig in here and bounce, Sam, I give it so much credit. I think that's so impressive because all the other Mag 7s really couldn't do that, right? Over in terms of the short-term trend, more or less all of them gave back earnings, maybe besides Meta.
Listen, two things.
That would stand out.
Two things I want to touch on here. You talk about semiconductors breaking down on a relative basis. That's still debatable. I mean, they're right there. I mean, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, but they're right there. The other one I want to point out is throw up slide 2 there, Spencer. What do you make? Talk to me about the bear case for equities and the bull market being over if home construction digs in here. Can you throw that up there, please, Spencer?
It's a tough one, man.
So holding those lows from last year, last week, and now making new multi-week highs this morning, rallying again. How do you feel about the strength in home construction?
Yeah, no, this has been front and center for me. If you're a market bear, you want to see this chart get absolutely blasted, and they failed, frankly, miserably to do that.
And by the way, Strazza, the industrials, to your point, Strazza's always talking about how home construction are basically industrial stocks. They continue to trade that way, right? So it's not like that was just like a one-time phenomenon. Strazza's been pounding the table that these are essentially industrial stocks. And I pushed back on him when he first started saying that. I'm like, hey, you're fucking crazy. They're discretionaries. He was right. He continues to be right. I underestimated that. You've been spot on. And even through today, they continue to trade with industrials like if they were. So it seems that they might be, Strazza.
I'm so long Lennar and Polte right now. And it's the same thing as what I just said about Broadcom. I will take a shot on the long side at these cleared levels, right? In the case that this bull market's going to rage on, home builders are going to dig in, they're going to flip it higher, and it's going to be a face-ripping rally.
So are semis.
Right? On the other hand, if this level breaks, roll over, we get one big red candle here today, tomorrow, I'll flip it. I'll go in the other direction. That's where I'm at in this market. I think these levels right here.
You see that, Spencer? You see us all agreeing? A nice little kumbaya moment. You like that?
Everybody, that's it. Kumbaya.
You didn't see that coming. All this agreeing here.
No,
huh? You didn't see it coming.
No, I definitely did not.
You got to keep an open mind in these times.
And then also at the end of the day, like it's hard. Like we argue about like, well, certain things and stuff because we can't help ourselves. But at the end of the day, like we're looking at facts. So it's very hard to like, me really disagree with Strazza on something and vice versa because we're looking at facts. So like it's a lot of if-then statements and we might be leaning one way or another, but like at the end of the day, we pretty much agree on everything. I know in the chat it might not sound like that, but Strazza and I actually agree on 99.9% of things. So when I say he always says dumb shit, that's just part of it's a feature, not a bug.
The charts don't lie.
Charts don't lie. Humans do.
Cubans do. Are you buying the MSTZ, JC? Because me and Sam are.
I am not buying the MSTZ.
Okay. Listen, to each his own. To each his own.
I am not buying the MSTZ. It's just not for me. I don't need a double leveraged short micro strategy ETF. Like I'm good. Like,
when you put it that way,
like look at Sam. Look at that young man. It's a young man's game. In the old days, I was slinging. Dude, I was trading options like on natural gas inventories day. Like it was a different time in my life. Much different.
Way to make us sound like some real junkies out here.
Hey,
well, the shoe.
I'm happy to wear that.
I mean, MSTZ and junkie, yeah. Kind of.
Calling it like I see it, as usual. As usual. And then one more thing, Strazza, I wanted to ask you. This is a good question. This is mostly for Strazza. Slide 3 here. Bitcoin dominance continues to press up against new highs. How do you think about Bitcoin dominance? Is it still just an ETH BTC ratio glorified as Bitcoin dominance? Is there something here? How do you think about the implications of this?
I've always paid very, very little attention to these kinds of indicators in crypto. I think they're awesome that we have them and they're interesting. However, I've always said for many, many years now that you can't analyze or even look at crypto market internals like stock market internals. In the stock market, you can literally make the assumption that most stocks will exist in the future, right? In the crypto market, I think we have to make the assumption that 95% of these things go away. So how that factors in to different breadth indicators, things like Bitcoin dominance, total crypto market cap. Somebody asked you a great question on Twitter today or the other day, right? You put out the total market cap of crypto and they said, well, what about the fact that there's so many more altcoins, right? I don't think it matters, but we have these strange...
No, we have the data. We know it does not matter.
But we have these strange instances in crypto, right, where it's a lot more nuanced than the stock market. So I've never really known exactly what to do with this ratio. I would not be surprised if we continue to be in some sort of environment where Bitcoin and a handful of others that will exist in the future do well, and the altcoins are all terrible.
BTC ratio upside down. That's all it is.
I could see this continuing to move higher. And I think it'd be fine.
If Ethereum continues to underperform, the answer is yes. If Ethereum leads, then no.
Yeah, but there could be a dark horse, right? Solana or somebody could pop up.
But it's going to take a while to get there.
Dent in this
take a while.
ratio. Listen, Solana's up, 10x like that in the early innings of a bull cycle. It could happen. It could happen in the future. But I don't know. I think Bitcoin could continue to outperform. I think it's just built different. It's by far the preferred vehicle.
You know what we just got, by the way? I don't know if I told you. We got the top 10 tokens in crypto with survivorship bias going back like almost 10 years.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. Look, we're learning how to use this crypto. We're learning how to use this crypto data in real time, unlike the stock market data where we can look back for a century in some cases and make some real assumptions about the future. We can't really do that yet, but we're playing with the tools, we're playing with the new data, and it's a lot of fun. But the Bitcoin dominance one is one that, for me, I'll never weigh it too much because I just don't know.
I think
look,
it more.
You needed one piece of evidence. You need one piece of evidence to really call the direction in crypto right over the past couple of months. One piece of evidence. Do you guys know what that was? One piece of evidence kept you on the right side.
Solana failing.
No, it was price. It was just price. It was just price the whole time.
That was a
price of Solana
right
failing
in front of us. Just these clean textbook topping patterns, one after the next.
That was a trick question. Okay, let's do some.
Right. We all know your trade doubled over the weekend. Congratulations. Let's move on. Let's do a little recess and go. I got to meet. Sam, let's start with Sam. How's life in Kansas in March?
JC, to be honest, it's not that good this year. KU basketball sucks so bad this year. It's depressing, and it makes me want March Madness just to be over for now. But I will tell you, Spencer, I included on the last slide the odds of SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the point guard of the Oklahoma City Thunder. The odds of him being the MVP for the 2025 season have increased to 80% after they blew out the Denver Nuggets yesterday.
Really?
Wow.
So that's what I'm really excited about right now is NBA basketball. Go Thunder.
I didn't know you were an OKC fan.
Dude, they're so awesome. SGA is my Lord and Savior. I'm so glad he came to the Midwest.
All right.
Lord and Savior.
And do you dabble? Do you dabble in the poly markets?
You can't trade poly markets in the US, so no.
Oh, really? What a bummer.
I'm a DraftKings guy.
But the fact that Sam knows that.
Sam,
I've tried. Everybody knows that, for the record.
Hold on. Yeah, I don't know that. I've never tried. I put a big futures bet on the Johnnies. You think St. John's, the Red Storm, they have a chance to win it all this year?
Hey, that was a great game this weekend. So yeah,
trendy bet. That's a trendy bet. Yeah,
I think there's definitely a chance. The market's really not pricing it in, so if it does,
I know
it's so early. Yeah,
I got great odds. I got great odds on the Johnnies. All right, I got something. So I found out this weekend. I finally gave it a shot. We're just not there yet. We're just not there yet. I'm so bearish Apple Watches. Okay, who can actually wear this on their wrist while they swing a golf club? Sam, do you know anybody? The future of this, I think, is going to be through our sunglasses or in some sort of gadget that comes out of your pocket. I don't think we're going to be wearing it on our wrist like a bunch of Neanderthals because it's not comfortable. I really think they find out what's on here that's good. Maybe you put a little band around your arm that's actually comfortable and you don't feel, and then you're going to see it through your sunglasses. What do you think about that? Is that not the future? These are no good. I'm so bearish.
Have you tried the other brand of watch? I forget what it's called.
Garmin?
Yeah.
I gotta
get. Have you tried that watch?
I think for now you're best off out on the course with the rangefinder that just clips onto the cart, because you don't want stuff in your pockets. I don't know. They got to figure it out. It's a real problem. But,
Yeah, I think there's probably a future with the glasses though.
right.
I like that idea.
I keep getting served ads for these like smart ski goggles as if
Right.
you need that sort of thing. It's like ski goggles, but they have like data about how far you are from your friends and your speed, and like who needs
I would like
that?
to see my miles per hour when
Who
I'm
needs that information while you're skiing?
60 miles an hour straight down
I
the
don't need to
mountain.
know how fast I'm going.
Apple and even Facebook, these guys aren't stupid. They have deals with sunglasses companies already.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. You're going to have your Oakleys on, and in the top corner of one of your lenses, it's going to tell you the distance to the hole, where the flag is, the wind, all that stuff. It's going to be like playing a golf video game right up here. That's it. That's the only way, I think. They'll figure it out. I'm excited.
My recess did something new over the weekend. On Friday, the wife and I were both pretty sick, but we needed groceries. So for the first time,
Insta.
we did it not Instacart, but we did it through our grocery store. They have their own app, and they have their own thing. And I don't know why I was a holdout for so long on going to the grocery store. But this was like I don't think I can go back now. This is like a life changer.
Yeah, but when you want ripe avocados instead of like freshies, they're gonna screw that up.
Sure.
Mangoes too.
But you're gonna want some things, and they'll replace it with something that you don't want.
Yeah, no, but I held out. I was like, no, I like going to the store myself. I like picking out my foods, but when I had to do it on Friday because I literally couldn't move, I was like, this is amazing. I think like this
You'll never go back.
Life. Yeah,
Spencer, the time saved is so ridiculous. It's worth every penny. They could charge me more. I'm happy to pay it.
And the money saved, because now I'm not spontaneously grabbing shit I don't need. Right.
You can shop as you go. You can share the list with your wife if she's in another place. You can both do it from the app and add stuff. We absolutely have this process nailed down. It's perfect. We go to the farmer's market just about every weekend, and we get the fresh produce there. We get our meats mostly online, and our fish from the seafood market like a block or two away. We're getting everything else on Instacart.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll make the last person to this game, but sheesh, man, what a game changer!
Welcome. You don't even have kids yet. Wait till you have kids, and because now at least
that's
you
what
have
I'm
time.
Dude. I'm trying to find ways to make my life easier, because my life's about to get a lot more harder. All right, JC, we got
hold on. Instacart right now, the Maple Bear at an absolutely key level. Spencer, get involved. This is a great stock.
Say less. All right.
I'm excited. My wife and daughter left to Disney World for 3 days on a girls' trip. A bunch of the moms and daughters in the neighborhood are all down there.
That's
so
awesome.
It's just me and the boys. They did that last year too, by the way. So this is not like a new thing. So it's just me and the boys. And when it's just me and the boys, it's like a whole nother planet in my house. It's like when the girls aren't around, it's just different. These boys are so chill. Like, the girls show up, they start tripping over themselves and crying and shitting themselves. Like, it's just, they can't even function like humans. And then when it's just the boys, they're just like, they just want to play with their dinosaurs and like, have a cookie and watch some cartoons. Like, it's just another dynamic altogether. So humans are a fascinating breed, to say the least. And watching, in their natural environment, their behavior changes is fascinating.
Speaking of the boys, me and the boys will be in Miami this weekend at Future Proof. Hit us up if you'll be in town. We're way too busy to be there for the whole time, but we'll be there Sunday, Monday, and some of Tuesday.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Sam. Chart Request Live, 1:00 Eastern Time today. Send us your requests, questions at stockmarketmedia.com. Smash the like. I did put a link in the chat to get the beat report for free that Sam was talking about. So you can do that. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Tomorrow's guest. Let's look real fast. I don't even remember who it is. Oh, Mike Hurley on the show tomorrow.
Nice.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm not going to be on the show tomorrow.
I know.
That's a bum. Oh, no, I will be on the show tomorrow.
You said you weren't.
I'll be
if you're not,
like some of it.
Oh.
If you're not getting the beat report, you're making a horrible mistake. Sign up.
And if you're not here for the Mike Hurley interview, you're making a big mistake. He is the man. Shout out Mike Hurley.
The breath god.
Breath god. Wow.
Breath god.
See you guys later. All right.
Adios.
Go Thunder.
Run it.